It is now 15 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African Time. Melanin Sauti Soul featuring Pato Ranking. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon on The Upside for the special broadcast. We are coming to you live from the Wanderers Club in Johannesburg, South Africa for the Radio Broadcasters Convention Africa 2025 edition. And we're about to get into the legal side of digital and AI, a very important conversation and one that we need to better understand. Otherwise, we'll be paying an arm and a leg to certain parties. As African broadcasters reformat their content to meet the demands of digital-first audience, we are, apologies for that, we are enjoying the reality that it's a fast-paced environment, but the legalities of it are some things that we are not really familiar with. And as a result, we end up shooting ourselves on the foot because we didn't read properly. Yes, AI is helping drive efficiency, personalization, and audience growth, but this shift also brings new challenges, particularly in how digital content is protected and managed. And as content travels further and faster across platforms, questions around ownership, usage rights, and revenue sharing become even more urgent than ever before. To further unpack, we are joined by Stanley Similo, President of South Africa Broadcasting Association. Mr. Stanley, thank you so much for your time and welcome to The Upside.
Yeah, well, it's a pleasure and also a very good day to your listeners.
It must be an exciting time for you as the President of South Africa's Broadcasting Association to be here at this convention where we are talking about AI and moving our media spaces and reformatting to adapt to the times of technology.
Yeah, look, we as SABA, if we don't move and make those adaptations, we will be left behind. And maybe just for your listeners, let me just take just one sentence or two just to indicate who we are. As SABA, which is the Southern African Broadcasters Association, we're a conglomerate of about 16 public broadcasters within SADC.
Okay.
We have met and we've agreed that as we are moving forward, as opposed to what private media would do, we need to be uniformed in what we do. So, and part of what we're doing is to share content. And currently we have two programs that are running under the banner of SABA, which is Eye on SADC. It's a television news program which is curated in Windhoek, Namibia. And then we have another one called SADC 360, and that one is running from Maseru in Lesotho. So all our respective journalists from within the region are contributing stories for both radio and TV to the two respective countries. And then that content comes back to us, and then we can aid at any time that we would want. And then linked to that, what we also do very well is we keep on doing training for our journalists. And in that journey, we have partnered with an entity called Broadcast Media Africa. They are our partner. When we have events like this, we co-host them, SABA and BMA. And for yesterday's event running in today, I must thank the SABC because they are hosting us. And we are here, and it's been a good day. Now, what we've done this time around is to focus on radio, because mainstream, you will always find that TV takes the spotlight. You know, it's the glamour thing. But when it gets to being able to send out messaging, there's nothing that beats radio. Radio remains top, and the beauty about the radio is that it speaks to culture, because in most instances, you will find that where we are, what we do, we address people in their languages that they speak. That is why the element of radio within this ecosystem is a very, very important one. It can never die. The moment radio dies, cultures will disappear. That's quite an important aspect for us. Now, as we are moving, what should we do? We must empower people like yourselves. You need to get the best of technology that is there, so that you can also remain at the cutting edge of what is happening. And then of late, we have this animal called AI, artificial intelligence. Just this morning, by the way, we were discussing to understand what's the impact of AI when you are broadcasting in our newsrooms, where do we use it? And it was quite a lively debate. What I can share with you now, scripting of stories, transcribing of audio formats, video, AI is already involved. It assists, it's quick. When you do your research, it happens there, you can find. But what we will always caution, we're saying, is that the human element must at all material times be present. The idea there is that if you, for instance, you know you're going to have this topic, you can go and do your research. Get it from AI to give you, but curate it. Go through to seek and understand, is it speaking this truth that you know? Because otherwise you may easily just go and have a false sense of what it says, because it will give you everything.
100%.
A lot of it could be garbage as well. So the curation from a fact-checking perspective will still intrinsically remain with the individual.
I love that you brought up the human element when it comes to this, because sometimes we can rely very heavily on the AI and not do the fact checks. And by the time you have broadcasted and said what you've said, you can't take it back. And people are going to comment and come after you. We're currently in conversation with the president of South Africa Broadcasting Association, Stanley Similo, and he's going to tell us more about the legalities, the legal side of using AI and being in this digital age that we find ourselves in, especially in the radio broadcasting space. We continue the conversation right after this. Well, it is 23 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African time. Thank you so much for joining us on this special broadcast. We're coming to you live from the Wanderers Club in Johannesburg, South Africa, for Africa Radio Broadcasters Convention 2025. And we're still in conversation with the president of South Africa Broadcasting Association, or SABA, about exploring how broadcasters can use AI to unlock growth while navigating the complexities of digital rights management. Mr. Stanley, let's explore then those digital rights management, which we can often overlook when we are implementing such tools in our respective media houses. How important is it for us to review these legalities so that we don't shoot ourselves in the foot and fall on the wrong end of the law?
Look, that's a very good point, actually, because the issue of creation, be it written, be it performed, or otherwise, intrinsically, that right from an IP perspective will always remain with the one who has created. Now, when we take radio, a great deal of what we do, particularly from the music element of it, we will use music that belongs to artists. Who could have either single-handedly written or composed or as a group put together. Now, we, as the broadcasters, radio in particular, we need to make sure that that type of airplay that is given is sort of like recorded, so that true bodies in South Africa called, I think, is it Samro
and Sapro?
Yes. They need to know, because those that have created this, that is their livelihood. That's what makes them to have a living. Equally, in Namibia, where I'm coming from, we have a body called NESCAM doing exactly the same like the two bodies that you were there. So we need, from a legal perspective, we need to respect that. And it's not a choice thing. It's a legal thing that is there, because should you violate that, you could be held criminally liable or be charged a penalty. But in the main, I always maintain and maintain the position that if broadcasters don't do that, we are depriving someone of a potential earning. So our sincerity must be, let's recognize the rights of those that are into creation, so that they can also make a living for that. So that aside, we do have causes that we bring in where we alert our people through interventions. About a month back, middle of May, we were here in Joburg with a training activity for journalists within SABA on AI. And we had 3 trainers. One was from Seychelles, and the other one was from the SABC here, and the other gentleman was from Namibia. So we spent a bit of time in making sure that they need to understand what AI means in their newsrooms as they are doing stories, light-hearted programs, because AI comes in there as well. And as I said much earlier on, we must not be scared of AI,
Yeah.
but we should also not allow it to take over our lives, because it's part of who we are.
Yeah.
The only thing that we need to understand would be, are we trampling, or will we be trampling on the rights of the public?
Yeah.
And if we do use AI, when do we inform the public that this is an AI
wow.
generated? Look, the issue of disclaimer and disclosure at a point.
Because I know social media sometimes does that. When you've generated or used an element of AI, it says you must add there that you've used AI.
Yeah. And if I just slightly digress, just to the visual side of which radio of late is also going there.
Yes.
Because remember, before radio personalities, you would only hear the voices.
Absolutely. Never see the face.
Yes, but with video streaming now, we now can see, this is my favorite presenter. So now all of a sudden, I can put a face to a voice and I can identify. Now, what we are also experimenting, particularly from a Namibian perspective now, is to say, if Stanley has been recorded for a story that he spoke either in English, can we use AI and translate him to speak, for instance, isiZulu or Shiwambo in the case of Namibia, or in Setswana in the case of Botswana? Now, once you do that, at which point do you inform Stanley or inform your public that, look, I have used AI here? And we believe that it is important that such disclosures are made. In the case of Namibia, we are now busy with a framework around an AI policy framework, which will then govern that aspect. And our idea is to move with it up to the point where we will have to have advocacy types of interventions. And we are hoping that the colleagues within the broader family of SABA will do that the same. Because yes, AI is here and we cannot deny it. And the other thing that people were, this morning, what made me laugh actually was that of late you have music that's generated via AI. And then one of the participants were saying, but we invited this person to come and perform at the show and he could not sing. I said, no, but maybe give him auto-tune, I don't know.
It's taking over.
Yeah, this is the good and the bad of whatever we would want
there are
to.
limits to it.
But then we got a different view. One person was saying, but what if people like AI-generated music to the extent that they buy?
That's a real one. That is a
real
one. And that
was now for us like, because that's the public now deciding. But all in all, we believe that we need to have the awareness around how these things work. We need to talk. I'm just coming now out of a session where we're also looking at community radio. Community radios stations are struggling because, first of all, they don't have markets. And the example that was given, someone was saying, now here's a community radio station, and this person wants from the community to give them advertising packages costing 5,000. And the question was that, but who from the community will dish out 5,000 just like that? And part of the discussion was that, no, get your audience, get the small amounts. Once you have the traction, then use that market size to bring in the bigger guys to come on board. But we also believe that the bigger public broadcasters should form part of assisting community radio stations so that they don't die in the process, because they also play a role of detailing and telling their stories as they relate to the areas where they're originating from.
I love that. Stanley, thank you so much for your passion and for your insights on this very important matter. We certainly hope that public broadcasters like the SABC lead the charge when it comes to digital rights management, and that we do a much better job in ensuring that we are standing on the right side of the law. It is now 31 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African time. The voice there of Stanley Similo, President of South Africa Broadcasting Association, SABA. Musibudi Makura is standing by with the sports news.